And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back here to Tournament Central as we continue to bring you coverage of the 2023 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships, presented by L.L.Bean. We are once again out at Smuggler's Notch in Jeffersonville, Vermont, and we're back at Fox Run Meadows for moving day, as it's also the time of the cut line. Brian, my name is Esma Murray, and I'll be your host, and as you can see, Brian Earhart continues to join me for the FPO coverage. And so, yeah, Brian, I'll kind of kick things off with that. I mean, what are things looking like today condition-wise, and how important is today's round, considering that only the top 36 players and ties are going to move on to the final day?
Well, I'm looking out at the feather banners in the background at Fox Run Meadows, and they're calm. It's going to be a different set of pressure today. I think because all players can shoot well of all throwing styles, I think the pressure is going to be on the players to shoot hot today. I think they're going to have to shoot well under par, especially the ones on the bubble that are fighting for that cut line. It's just going to be a tough day out there. I mean, you can't really slip up. I don't think it's going to be about bogeying less. I think it's going to be about birdieing more. Fox Run Meadows is clearly shreddable. We're watching players shoot very solid out there. 7 under par, Kristen Tatar. I mean, that's totally doable by the rest of the field if they just stay in bounds and get the disc within a comfortable spot to make putts. I think any of these players fighting for the cut can do that today.
Well, you mentioned Kristen Tatar. That's where we're going to lead off with, of course, today. Of course, she entered Worlds as the #1 player in the world with 9 wins already under her belt this season, including both majors we've played so far this year for FPO at the Champions Cup and the European Open. She was #1 in the field in virtually every category. She entered yesterday with an 8-stroke lead, but had a little bit of a tougher time yesterday. She started 3 down through 5, so seemed like she was going to, stay on that same pace of 8 under par that she shot at Brewster during round 1. But from that point forward, really just kind of parred out the bulk of the course and even took a bogey on 14. It would see her lead be cut in half from 8 strokes to 4, the first time that her lead has shrunk at a major this year. And we got to catch up with her after that round. Let's take a look.
I think I threw quite similar shots, but today wasn't my day. I think I wasn't really lucky today. Some of the positions that I was in weren't very good, weren't comfortable for me. But that's disc golf. Sometimes you shank in the woods, get birdies. Sometimes you through good shots, don't get birdies. So that's disc golf. Yeah, I mean, in the woods, you just have to be accurate and maybe have some sort of luck as well. But now we're playing 2 rounds on an open course, which requires less luck and more executing good shots. All the practice has already been done. Now it's just time to let it show. I hope so, at least.
And those were some words from Kristen Tatar, who may have seen her lead get cut, but she still, after all, is 4 strokes ahead, and she's returning to a course at Fox Run where she was able to shoot 7 under par, the hot score of day 2. Brian, we talk all the time about Kristen Tatar just due to her accolades and due to just how well she plays. But I think one of the things that we don't necessarily pick apart as much is just the mental game aspect that she brings to the table. She's so stoic. What do you feel is probably going on for her as she enters into today?
Well, I like the way she described her round yesterday as, I didn't get lucky enough. And you know what? Sometimes in the woods, it feels like that kind of a day. I mean, so much of playing in the woods relies on how your disc flies in the mid-flight. Are you going to miss a tree by 2 inches that could otherwise kick you way into the garbage on the left or right side of the fairways, or kick you out of bounds over some of those rock walls at Brewster Ridge? I mean, it just so happens that she found herself in some rough positions. And they were talking about her missing a lot of circle 2 putts yesterday, but if you took a closer look at the circle 2 putts that she had, they were really hard, low percentage putts that she had to run. So it just was one of those days in the woods, and to salvage the score that she had was totally fine. The fact is, she's up 4 strokes, just like you said, and Fox Run Meadows is a lot different. It's a lot more about just pure execution, landing your disc nicely, kind of doing that geometry, so to speak, and kind of ranging your hyzers appropriately. And Kristen does that by far better than everybody else in the division. She is demolishing the field in strokes gained tee to green, and she's almost leading many other categories right now. And she's gone out of bounds 0 times, Dustin, which when I asked her what she was most pleased with when they played this course last time, that's the only answer that she gave me. I didn't go out of bounds. Everybody else in the division did find the out of bounds, and that's going to be the separating point today.
I mean, that is basically the key component of strategy at Fox Run, is keeping it inside the lines and just making sure you have good placement for your approach. So I think that is certainly a, I guess, like big feat that she has under her belt going into Fox Run today for sure. Now, of course, there's always two sides to the coin, right? We talk about, her perspective, still having the 4-stroke lead, but we have to look at Missy Gannon's perspective. I mean, she obviously entered the World's competition, ranked within the top 3 in both the UDIS World rankings and our Pro Tour standings. Was a back-to-back Ledgestone champion with 6 additional podium finishes entering into this tournament. She came into yesterday in solo second, 8 strokes off the lead, but 4 clear of third, so creating some good separation there. But she'd go on to shoot the hot round of the day. She went 4 down through 7, finished with 3 birdies on the final 6 holes, which seemed to be the key difference between her round and Tatar's. And that has now taken a tournament that it looked like Tatar was running away with, and it's put it back into contest as Missy Gannon is just 4 strokes off the leader with 2 rounds left to play. We got to catch up with her after her round as well.
We were, trading off strokes or getting the same birdies in the beginning and then sort of trading them off here and there. So, I knew it was still close. And then on the back 9, I kind of picked up some crucial birdies and some crucial strokes at the end of it. So, yeah, I think that I did what I could after day 3 to have it only be a 4-stroke difference. I think that I'm in a great position. There's one goal in mind, and that's to put the disc in the basket. So, I think that it was just, I was putting well. I made some clutch ones, and I just knew that, this is what I do, so I can put them in from anywhere. All in all, just keeping the OBs down out there is the crucial thing, and you just got to get the birdies when you can. So again, still going to keep pushing and keep having that same mindset that I had today.
And the mindset that she has led her well, Brian. I mean, she is leading the field in birdie percentage, and she is sitting in the top 4 for finding both circles in regulation. She's also 4th in C2 putting, which is no surprise. Her putting has always been powerful. And we talked about how Tatar, has not gone OB at this tournament. Well, I mean, Missy's only gone OB once. So, I mean, she's not too far behind as far as keeping it inside the lines and playing some accurate golf. I guess my question to you, Brian, is what's going to be the key for Missy today to try to, hit away at that 4-stroke lead that Tatar has over her?
Yeah, to just do something, right? I mean, the first round was just spectacular from Kristen. I mean, 8 under par in that kind of weather, that's the separator right there. I mean, if she had anywhere near a more, average round, it could have been a much closer battle. We could have been close to tied going into today. But Kristen just did something spectacular in round 1 and has held on. Missy, on the other hand, has been playing fantastic. Like you said, gone on about 1 time on the entire weekend, which at Fox Run Meadows is a fantastic number of OB strokes. So for her, I like the way she's thinking, like you said, because it sounds like she's truly begun to accept the fact that disc golf is unpredictable. It's difficult. Most of your shots are not going to go exactly the way they're supposed to go. But because of that, she's able to just truly strive for greatness and not really care about anything else. It seems like she's playing with her foot on the gas permanently right now, Dustin. And I think today at Fox Run Meadows, she's going to be picking apart this course with a very strategic mindset. And I think it's going to work out for her. I think it's going to be a great battle. Kristen's going to have to really put something good together today.
One thing you kind of talked about with Missy that I wanted to try to, let you reiterate was the backhand turnover game. It seemed like that was something that was really serving her well the first time over at Fox Run. Can you kind of talk to me about Missy's style and how you've seen that help her evolve her game?
Yeah, well, Missy has gotten a very long way throwing that low bullet with a high-speed driver. She has a couple in different stages of wear that she'll just change out and kind of keep the line the same. And I think that style of golf is very consistent and it's very replicatable. The one thing that I'm noticing this week is she has a couple of fairway drivers right now that she's starting to work into her game a lot more that are kind of flippy, and she's throwing some really beautiful late flip lines that are getting her some really high-level birdies. Also, on hole number 8 at Fox Run Meadows, she's going high turnover, which is not a line we see her throw too often, and it paid off very well. She went deep in the basket and got a birdie on a very challenging par 3, and I've been saying this all season. We cannot say that Missy's not a distance thrower anymore. She has gotten so much more speed on that release than she has in previous seasons. The form stretched out, throwing a faster shot, has gotten better. Obviously, she's kept the same form when she shortens up to throw touch shots. So that's just the mark of a fantastic thrower in general. And the fact that she's not throwing a ton of sidearms means she does get a lot of reps on the backhand, and that's just what naturally happens over time.
Yeah, well, we're talking about distance, and so I feel like that's only the natural transition to the next player we're going to be talking about, which is, of course, Holland Handley, who has plenty of that. She is currently ranked 7th in the world rankings and 6th in her tour standings. She has 5 podium finishes this year and has 6 additional top 5 finishes and is usually always somewhere in the top 10. She entered yesterday at 3 under overall, which put her in a tie for 3rd place with Evelina Salonen and Alex Benson. She doubled her efforts yesterday at Brewster Ridge, going 3 under par to grow her score to 6 under. She is 7 strokes off Missy in 2nd and 11 strokes off the lead, but she is 2 clear of 4th, and we got to catch up with her after her round yesterday.
I feel like my throws were a lot cleaner than round 1, and then my scrambling was a little bit better. It was so close to being like a spectacular round. So many of my circle 2 and circle's edge putts were just like an inch high, inch low. Finally connected there on a circle 2 there at the end, but I feel like that was a good round, but a few more inches and it could have been a really great round. Yeah, last year was interesting. I feel like the first 3 rounds as a whole were kind of more up and down. I had kind of a really bad first round, and then I had an amazing 3rd round, which at the time was my career best. This time I've kind of been just hanging out at kind of like a pretty good level. Haven't really popped off, but haven't really like had too many bad mistakes that I couldn't recover from. So it feels like a little more consistent, whereas I feel like last year was maybe a little out of nowhere in that 3rd round.
And well, there was some words from Handley, who is leading the field right now in fairway hits in Circle 2 in regulation. She's also 3rd in birdie percentage as well as strokes gained tee to green. So she's throwing the disc very well, Brian, but I feel like the thing that we have seen that's maybe held her back a bit is, one, she's had a couple of slow starts, if we're honest, on the front 9s of both courses. And she was indeed finding the out of bounds a fair amount at Fox Run on day 2. Kind of what has been your assessment of Holland Handley's game so far this tournament, and what do you feel she's going to need to do to try to catch up to Missy?
Yeah, well, I think even if she just went out of bounds 0 times like Kristen Tatar has, she'd be right back in the hunt. I mean, 2 rounds left at Fox Run Meadows. That's right in her wheelhouse, but 6 OB strokes, that's killer. And it's something that she's going to have to clean up. I mean, we watched her and Ella go up against Owen Scoggins at D-Glow, and we watched Owen just pick her way around the course while Holland and Ella went for these giant shots and found themselves in trouble. I think she just needs to find that balance between compressing that power that she has to throw replicatable shots that are really low stress for her. Because out here, yes, you can press these fairways, but Kristen showed us when she shot that fantastic 2nd round, you don't need to press too hard. I don't even think she threw a distance driver that many times off the tee. I mean, you don't need to do too much out there at Fox Run Meadows. It's not like these holes are over 1,000 feet long and you're throwing distance driver 3 times. It's more about placement. It's more about landing your shots, finding footing that you like, and really just picking your spots, reading the wind correctly, making sure you have putts from the right side of the green. It's going to be a little bit more strategic for Holland out here, not just pure power, essentially.
That's a really good point, you know, the battle between the strategy and also being on the pure power. But is there any element you think of Holland maybe needing to take some risks to try to go for some bigger shots, to try to, you know, catch up, I guess you could say, and do that whole risk versus reward kind of thing? Or do you think, no, that it's just about keeping a steady game plan?
It's steady game plan. Kristen's just not really slipping up that much, and I believe her when she said yesterday luck felt like the only issue. It's not like she's the victim of some terrible fate. That's just what happens sometimes when you play in the woods. So now you're coming out here, it's so much more about consistently executing. And again, like I said, pressing is not about going for these Simon lines, so to speak. It's more about finding the fairway with something consistent off the tee. If you can throw 18 tee shots in bounds, it's so much easier to score out here. The second shots are a lot easier than the tee shots on most of these holes out here. So if Holland can even dial it back a bit to give her a distance where she can throw a forehand with something consistent or more comfortable, that's way better than just advancing the fairway. And that's the only thing I think she needs to clean up. Everything else looks very good.
Fair enough, Brian. Well, let's talk about our final member of the lead card now. It's going to be Luque Lorenzen. Of course, she entered into Worlds ranked 9th in our tour standing. She had kind of a slow start to the season, but then she was able to pick up a top 10 finish at the Cascade Challenge, was top 15 at the Portland Open. She headed over to Europe where she found 7th at the PCS Open, and when she returned to the States, she came 6th at Idlewild. So, was starting to put together some good results heading into the event. After the first 2 rounds, she was 1 under overall and put her in a tie for 7th. Yesterday, though, she really stepped it up. She shot 3 under par. I think it was thanks in large part to an early turkey on the front 9. It's enough to put her in a tie for 4th and on the lead card, and just 2 strokes off the podium. We got to catch up with her after her round yesterday.
I just tried to play clean. Like that's all I tried. Like have safe, good tee shots, make putts if I can, and that's it. And I had some good putts. I had some good drives that made me get some birdies. So that's it.
You have an opportunity now to become one of the highest, if not the highest finisher ever at a Worlds from Norway. What does that feel like, and what does that mean to you?
I mean, that obviously means a lot. It's really cool to just play consistent and have better tournaments as we're like going to the end of the season. So I'm just trying not to think about that. I'm trying to just think about my game and one shot at a time. Yeah.
Seems like you're gaining momentum every round, turning it up a bit. Tell us about how you're feeling coming into these last 2 rounds.
I typically get nervous, and I was nervous the whole round yesterday. I was nervous today. I'm still like exhausted because my heart is like, and I'm just trying to like not think about it. I have my best friend. She's sending me like voice memos. We do that every day. So I'm just like every time we have a backup, every time I'm like starting to think about disc golf, I'm just like listening to her, thinking about like other stuff, just trying to get my mind off it. So I'm just trying to stay positive and not think about the results.
Those were some words from Luque Lorenzen, who is actually leading the field in C1X putting so far at 93%. Has had some struggles from Circle 2, and it seems like nerves have maybe gotten the better of her at times as well, Brian. She's only 2 strokes off the podium, though, heading into these final 2 rounds. And again, if she's able to keep up this pace, this will be her best finish of the year, if not her career. So kind of what are your thoughts on Luque as we head into Fox Run again?
Well, if you are watching the lead card this morning and you are a spin putter, this is one of the players to watch. She just has one of the cleanest, no-wobble spin putts that I have ever seen. It's great to see her putting so well from Circle 1, and I have to believe that when the wind picks up out here this afternoon at Fox Run, she could have some success from Circle 2 that other people are not. Just needs to pick up, obviously, the release point. I mean, when you're a spin putter like that, it kind of lives and dies by each individual day. So if it's one of those days, she could go in from any distance right now, but at this point, it's the same thing as Holland Hanley. I think Luque throws really solid drives with the distance driver. She has a lot of power. It's just going to be keeping it consistent. I mean, we've been proven at this course that nothing spectacular is going to get you any extra strokes to other people. I mean, we can only think about a couple holes where even eagle is an opportunity, and you're not going to win the tournament eagling the holes, but you will lose them taking a double bogey.
Fair enough. Well, that's going to do it for our coach of the lead card. When we come back from this break, we'll talk about our chase card, which includes the finished duo of Evelina Salin and Ahinna Blomroos, as well as a hometown hero in Alex Benson and a player in Allie Smith who's been making some waves recently. We'll talk about that more after the break.
Friendship isn't defined by time spent together,
but rather by moments shared.
Moments that are warm,
exciting,
and new. When you're outfitted for all that's out there,
even the ordinary becomes extraordinary.
So here's to taking a moment to appreciate every moment, made outside together.
At Discraft, we don't wait to see what the future holds. We build it. The future is in your hands.
We're ready when you are. Come discover Vermont.
And we're back here at Tournament Central to talk to you a little bit about our chase card for FPO as we head into moving day and we approach that cut line threat. First on the docket is going to be Evelina Salonen, who entered Worlds ranked 15th in the world. We saw her take 7th this year at Austin, as well as 6th at the Music City Open to get her season started. From there, she found a top 5 finish at Jonesboro, 3rd at the PCS Open, and 12th at the European Open, so some pretty solid results this year. After the first couple of days, she was 3 under overall and in a tie for 3rd place. And yesterday, she shot 1 under par to Tyler Renson, placing her on our chase card. She's been leading the field in Circle 1 in regulation, as well as top 3 in birdie percentage. But it's just been the shaky putter. She has missed all 12 attempts from Circle 2 so far this tournament, Brian. I mean, I hate to be a broken record, but that seems to be kind of the Achilles heel that for both Finnish players, really. Is there anything else more to it than trying to sort that out, or what do you feel about them going into these final 2 rounds?
Yeah, so I get it. You know, she's had a little trouble with the putter this year, but I will say that she's cleaned up quite a bit from Circle 1. I mean, she's making a lot more putts from those distances that she needs to make them from. So we have to celebrate that first and foremost, because when you get the yips and you go through kind of a putting slump, it's miserable. And especially when it becomes part of your identity, you start having players and other people messaging you saying, hey, I want to help you. Hey, I read this book. Hey, I think if you changed your grip, your form, then you'll get fixed. It's really hard to snap out of that when everyone around you thinks that they have the secret solution. So the fact that she's able to come back and actually knock down some more Circle 1 putts, fantastic. I think that's a starting point. I think when she got some double bogeys last round, it wasn't necessarily just because of the putter. I think it was hitting trees early, getting herself into trouble, and that's what Brewster Ridge does to you. Out here at Fox Run Meadows, she's free of that for the most part. There's only a few tough gaps that you have to hit, and she's crushing the field in regards to throwing the disc well and giving herself opportunities to take birdies out here. So she's also crushing the field in park jobs. So if she can keep doing that, it doesn't matter what the putter's doing. If she can keep putting them in the bullseye, I mean, she'll beat everybody. So I cannot wait to see her out here. I think it's great that she's on the chase card, less pressure for her. I think it's perfect time for her to strike and get to the lead card in the final round.
Fair enough, Brian. Her fellow Finn joins her on the chase card. She was our World's runner-up last year, and that's none other than Henna Blomroos, currently ranked in the top 26 for our tour standings. She finished top 5 at Vegas to kick off her year and has paced pretty consistently within the top 15 in all of her tour stops. Even has some top 10 finishes at some big events like the Champions Cup and the European Open. After the first 2 days, she found herself in a multi-way tie for 7th place, and yesterday she was able to shoot 2 under par, putting her at 3 under overall and placing her in a tie for 6th place with Allie Smith and just 3 strokes off the podium. Again, kind of a similar story for her, Brian. She's actually 3rd in reaching Circle 2 in regulation, but she has missed all 18 attempts from that range. Outside of that, is there anything else that you can kind of point to that we need to see from Henna in these final 2 rounds?
I mean, clearly it shows that she needs to find Circle 1 a bit more often, and I think out here at Fox Run, like I said, there's a few players who out here can completely outclass the rest of the field. Brewster Ridge is kind of a great leveling agent where everybody kind of has a chance to birdie a lot of these holes, but at Fox Run, being able to club down to something a lot more controllable, maybe even something more overstable to just blast something through the wind, that's right up her alley, and she has a huge advantage coming out here. I mean, she throws one of the fastest tee shots on tour, so when anything picks up or anything goes awry, she can club up to something glideless, so to speak, and just throw it out there consistently. So if she just does the same thing that Holland does out there today, doesn't find the out of bounds, gives herself at least opportunities to throw comfortable approach shots, it should be no problem out there for her.
Indeed, I agree with you. As we talk about one of our final members of the chase card, it's going to be Allie Smith. Now, she entered into Worlds ranked 14th in our tour standing. She had some top 10 finishes at the Music City Open, as well as a top 15 at Champions Cup and the OTB Open. But obviously the big moment for her was when she got her win at the Kansas City Wide Open, really putting her on the map at that point. During the first round, she shot 2 under overall. That put her in the mix, and then she shot even day 2 over at Fox Run. Now, yesterday she shot 1 under to, again, like her fellow player on the chase card, Henna, to 3 under overall. What's your thoughts on Allie Smith's game as we head back to Fox Run? As that was a course that, she was on pace to shoot 2 under at, but then a double bogey on 18 kind of ruined things. So is it just simply about closing, or is there something more to it than that?
I think it's experience too. I think Fox Run is a course that you kind of have to learn. You have to kind of go through some trial and error, maybe trial by fire, to learn some lessons. Like, hey, maybe I shouldn't put it on this side of the fairway. Maybe I shouldn't go for it from this spot. It's a course you really have to study and play multiple rounds at to shoot well on. And I think Allie Smith has the full package right now. I mean, she's just another one of those modern players that comes in with a great forehand, great backhand. Her putt's really clean, and that's it. I think it's just her getting her reps out there and not playing foolish. That's pretty much what you have to do to shoot well out here at this course. She has enough distance. It's not like she has to really stretch and overshape something to get to these landing zones. It's just playing tactical golf and playing sometimes the style of golf that's not as fun. It's just about scoring out there today, and I think there's a lot of green space that you can land your disc on out there. You don't have to do anything too special.
Yeah, I mean, I personally love watching Allie throw. I think she's got fantastic form, both backhand and forehand, so I look forward to seeing her throughout the rest of the event at Fox Run and see what type of moves that she can make. And now the final member of the chase car is going to be a bit of a hometown hero in Alex Benson. She's someone we haven't seen play on tour this year, but last year she attended a few Pro Tour stops. She had some top 15 finishes at Masters Cup, Idlewild, the OTB Open, and Ledgestone. She also placed top 20 at Worlds last year. Now at this tournament, she was 1 under par after day 1, then shot 2 under par on day 2 to join a tie for 3rd as we headed into day 3 of Worlds. And yesterday, unfortunately, she ran into a bit of trouble. Shot 2 over par, but she still sits in 8th place, and she's on the chase card, still a chance to fight for the podium perhaps. What do you see from Alex Benson, and what are your expectations for the rest of her tournament?
Yeah, so I think this is almost the opposite of what I was just saying with Allie Smith on Fox Run Meadows. I mean, Alex has so much experience out here. It was like yesterday, I felt like she was playing a practice round. I mean, yes, she was taking her time. She's very methodical as a player, but she would release a disc and you could tell that she knew if it was going to be good or bad, which is very powerful when you're playing these courses in tournament. So at Fox Run, she knows the landing zones that give her the most comfortable shots. It's not like she's learning as she goes. And sometimes on the Pro Tour, it feels like you're kind of changing your strategy every single round that you play. But for Alex, it's just going to be another walk in the park. She's played this course so many times. Her distance is not as big as some of the other players that she's going to play with, so it might feel like she might have to match them, but if she just sticks to her own game, picks her spots wisely, I think it's going to be a decent score for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate your thoughts there, Brian. So we just have a couple more items on the agenda before we get to the action. First of all, today is the cut line. Only the top 36 players, including those tied for 36, will play in the final round tomorrow. You can see that cut line there on your screen. We'll keep an eye on it as the day progresses, and we'll keep you updated. But one last thing, Brian, that we wanted to talk about here is a particular hole on Fox Run that is going to be key to today and probably the final round. That's hole 7. It's an 1,115-foot par 5 for FPO. It plays the second most difficult on day 2 with a 60% of the field getting bogey or worse, only a 13% birdie rate. Brian, why don't you walk me through this hole and explain to me the difficulties that these players are facing on this one, because it is being brutal out there.
Yeah, I actually love this tee shot. I love the tee pad placement because if you want to get across, you want to challenge that right side, but it's kind of slanted in this diagonal way where you want to challenge the tree line deep, which is where the OB is, in order to get your disc to naturally fade and not go out of bounds left. So you have to kind of play chicken, so to speak, with the out of bounds to put an aggressive shot in play. Which, to me, if we're talking about pressing, this is a hole that you can do that on because of the fact that so much of the field is bogeying this hole. If you can put a good tee shot over the creek inbounds, you have an opportunity to take this 4. The one thing that I'm noticing is on the third shot, the third and final shot to the green, you want to stay over the inbounds as much as possible. So you're seeing these players do a lot of geometry, picking that spot in the sky the disc starts to break back to the left, and you really have to swing it way farther to the right than you think. I mean, we're seeing players swing their hyzers 100+ feet out to the right to swing it back in bounds and actually get it next to the basket. So it's a really interesting hole. They've changed this out of bounds configuration quite a bit over the years, but I think it's forwardable, but a 5 is going to be fantastic if you look at the scoring spread.
Well, I appreciate you there, Brian. As we're going to go ahead and let you go, we'll hear from you out on the course throughout the day for the FPO coverage, and we're going to take one final break. When we come back, our commentators will take over, and we'll kick off Day 4 of Worlds for FPO.